Hi, this is Tanya Sheridan from inallsassiness.com, and today I'm going to teach you how to create this Create Yourself layout using our You Are Enough paper pack. This was a paper pack that was exclusive for the month of May for National Scrapbooking Month. However, it has been extended until June so that we can create a little bit more with it. So let's get started. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the layout, what supplies that you need if you're following with me, and then we will jump right into the project. So you notice that this is an ombre paper that we are using along with a lot of gold foil accents. So these are some of the stickers that we're going to manipulate. We have the butterflies. You'll see that there's some depth in between and a nice flow within the layout itself. The specialty paper does have a rose gold foil top coat or embossing coat, which gives it an absolutely beautiful design. The butterflies are an iridescent, so they are gonna glitter or shimmer depending on the way that you turn your paper or the angle of the light. And then we're also gonna follow up with some rose gold sequins, which really pull the whole layout together. So what supplies do you need? Rose gold sequins, the loose sequins. I have mine in my craft container just because it makes it super easy for me. We're going to be using the Ranger liquid pearls in the rose gold. That of course is optional, but I think you'll see that it adds a beautiful touch to the layout. You're going to need your scissors, your adhesive runner. I did use glue dots, but you could also use a liquid glue. I'm also going to use my foam tape, and then I'm going to use my anti-static pouch, which I also keep in one of my craft containers. Okay, so we are going to create the left page first. So I'm going to move the right page off, and then we will go back and create the second page. So if you're following along with me with your kit, this is what your kit is going to look like. Your butterflies should be loose in your box. So you're going to pull those out. Your sticker sheet is going to be used with this project and another project, but it should be in this kit's bag for easy access. You're going to have some loose pieces, your cardstock bases, etc. So I'm going to set those off to the side over here. There's also a bag with your little rose gold strips. There is the full sticker sheet, which we're going to use, and then the bases. So the first thing that we're going to do is go ahead and cut the zip strip off for our two bases. I'm going to cut mine together. That's totally up to you. If you do that, make sure your papers are going the same direction. I'm going to measure it to 12, but it's not always exactly right. So I want to look at where the break is in the zip strip. If you're not familiar with Close to My Heart, this is our zip strip. So on one side, it extends your 12 by 12 paper, but on one side it has the number of the paper pack, the description, the name, and all of the colors that are used in it. So if you were to put this paper pack aside and then come back to it months later or sometimes years later, it'll identify the colors and make life a lot easier for you if you can't remember or aren't familiar with the colors. Okay, so we have two sheets. I'm actually going to line this up and take the second one away. They're exactly the same. With the ombre, we are going to use the lighter color at the top and the darker color at the bottom. You of course can switch it out if you so desire, but that's the way that I'm choosing to do it. Then you're going to pull in your color cardstock pieces, which look like that, and your little strips. And here are the strips. So the strips were cut, they're not all exact. They were cut around the paper, around the pattern of the paper, and not the measurements, which isn't something that I normally do. So you are going, they might not be the exact same width, but they're still going to work for you. So we're gonna start at the bottom, which is our bluebell, which is also our color of the year. And the bluebell will be leaving us very, very soon. So if you absolutely fall in love with it, you need to stock up pretty soon. It is good until the month of August or while supplies last. So we are at that point where inventories might start to deplete. So you'll notice that all of our cardstock has two sides. The darker side is going to be the true color side, and then you can flip it over if you so desire and use the lighter side. Now the foam tape that I am using is our Close to My Heart foam tape. Today I'm using the thick, normally, which is the regular. Normally I use the thin, but I thought this project would pop a little bit more. So I put just 3 pieces of foam tape. This is gonna come down at about 2 3/4 and 3 inches for the actual square. So I'm gonna adhere that down first. And then I'm gonna come back with my adhesive, or my little strip. I'm gonna put adhesive, regular adhesive on the back. And I'm going to tuck that right underneath. And I'm using the thicker tape with this project because it shows the difference a little bit more. And I think that looks kind of cool. So I'm gonna lay that down or line that up. Sorry, didn't mean to jump my paper there. I'll reline that up there. Just like this. Okay, so next we're gonna come to this mulberry. So we are assuming that this might be one of our colors for next year. It's not a color that we have in our color palette, but it was surprising in this paper collection. It is a very pretty color. So I'm hoping that it sticks around. We'll have to just wait and see. So I'm gonna do the same thing with this one. And then pull the foam tape with the film. Now this one is gonna go off to the side just a little bit, about 1/4 inch or so, like that. And then I'm gonna come just like I did here, but I'm gonna do it on the opposite side. And I'm gonna add the mulberry strip underneath. Whoops. Tweezers might be good for you. I'm not really handy dandy with the tweezers, so I'm just gonna eyeball mine. Okay, so then the next one we're gonna do is gonna be the pink. And again, we are gonna use the dark side. And I'm doing 3 strips. You can do as little or as much adhesive as you want. If you don't want yours popped up, you of course could do it flat. That would be an option as well. I like the depth of the foam tape. So this one is going to kind of cross over about here. Again, using about the same margin. It's not a precise art, so however you want to do yours. And then I'm gonna do the ballerina strip this time on the left. Put my adhesive on. This one's gonna go right about here. And I'm just tucking it under just a little bit. Your photos are gonna go on top. That's what this white space is. Let's get rid of the trash here. Okay, so the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna add our 2 flowers. And these are on our sticker sheet. They're right down here. So I'm gonna pull the pinkish one off first. I'm gonna flip it over and I'm gonna add foam tape to the back. And then we're gonna use our anti-static pouch. Now that looks a little bit wider than what it appeared, so I'm gonna cut my foam tape in half vertically to fill in that space. So one of the great things about the foam tape versus using like the dots is that you can, manipulate it to the size and the space that you desire. So where the dots are more conformed to their spacing. Okay, so I didn't leave too much space uncovered because again, I like to use foam tape. But I'm gonna simply just put my sticker down to my anti-static pouch to get any sticky off so that it doesn't stick once it's down in my book. I'm gonna pull the film off the foam tape. You don't have to pull it all if you don't want to. I tend to, except for on really large surfaces, but that's totally up to you. Okay, so this one is gonna kind of go about like this, so that the petals just gently overlap. So this one, I have this one and that one. Gently overlap your photo mats, okay? So then the next one we're gonna do is gonna be this purple one here. So we're gonna do the same process. Put the foam tape on the back. Again, there's no rhyme and reason as to how you position it. Some people don't like the foam. I love it. We're gonna take this to our pouch again. I love the soft colors in this layout. I think it is absolutely gorgeous. Actually, in this paper collection. Some of the papers are marbleized. Some of them are the ombre like this. There's just a wealth of product or selection. Okay, so this one is gonna do the same thing. It's just gonna gently grace over your photo mats, just like that. And they're all the same level because of using the foam tape. Okay, so the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna pull off our title. And so I did create and yourself. The yourself is actually in yourself. So we are going to cut that one. And to cut it, I'm going to simply just follow. I don't want to cut it straight. I want to follow the curvature. Hopefully you can see that in the camera. I'm going to follow the curvature of the word yourself to snip it, and then I'm going to round that off so it looks like that's the way the sticker was supposed to be. Now you could save the word in if you want to use it somewhere else. I'm not going to, but you could. And then this is going to come just about right here like that, and that's going to go flat. Okay, so if you cut it at a curvature, then you'll notice you don't even notice that you cut a word off. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull off this word create, and it is a cursive font, so you do want to be careful when you're pulling it off that you don't tear it. That's kind of the tricky part when you use really big stickers. I'm going to set it down. Now for this one, I am going to use the thinner. It's still the same height as what I was using before, but it's the narrow, I guess would be the better word, not thinner. It's the narrow in width. And this is a very close fit. So if you're uncomfortable with being able to fit it exactly, you can cut this tape a little bit, cut it this way, and it'll give you a smaller space. So you can see that that fits with a little bit more of a margin. I think that's probably in more people's comfort zone than trying to fit it exactly, but that of course is up to you. My little piece got stuck there. Okay. So I'm just gonna come straight across that word like that. And I'm gonna come in and fill in a couple of these spots. Again, not every single centimeter has to be covered, but you don't want it to bow and dip. So here I'm gonna come across this foam tape is very, very sticky. So once it goes down, sometimes it's hard to manipulate. One thing I have found is if you do need to remove it, it works very well to roll it versus trying to pull it off. So gently use your finger and roll it off. That seems to not tear the under product as well. So for my C, because it's curved, it's a little bit tricky. I'm gonna go ahead and cut that foam tape to line it up. And you'll notice that when you cut it, quite often the backing wants to come off. And so I just usually try to keep it on or partially on. You'll notice that one's kind of partially on until I'm ready to put it down. But that's just kind of the way that the tape rolls out, I guess. Okay, so I feel like that is pretty good coverage. Because this is a cursive font, and it's a little bit trickier, I am going to simply just do my anti-static pouch all over it. And you'll notice the little powder residue, so I'm going to lift up my layout. Normally I wouldn't do it over my layout, but there's not a ton of space under the camera. Okay, so we have this lined back up, right? There we go. And now we're going to attach the title. So the title itself is at an angle. So we're going to pull off this tape. That's the one that I already had, as is that one. Now, those places that had lost the topping, if the powder hits them, of course, they're not going to be sticky. But most likely you have enough elsewhere that it's going to be fine. Okay, so this one I want to come and just position however you desire, but it's kind of at the same or close to the same angle. And you'll notice that I missed a little spot. It wasn't as clear on my C, so I'm going to simply lift that up and trim it with my scissors so that it doesn't stick out. It looks like mine is bulging a little bit right in here, so I can't get the film down. I'm gonna have to go back, there we go, and flatten it. Okay, so the next thing that we're gonna do is we are gonna take our butterflies. You have a full pack of butterflies. There are 2 different sheets. One of these you've already used if you're following the sequence. You've already used some of these in one of our cards, but you don't have to follow the sequence of the events. So we're going to take these. They are self-adhesive. They are actually very, very sticky. Many of our products just have a little bit of stick, and I feel like they need reinforcement. I didn't feel that way with these. These go down beautifully. So we're going to attach 4 at the top. They're kind of just going outward. You are going to leave a little bit of space for the sequence. And then down in this section, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm actually going to start up by the flower. Now, one of the cool things about these is you can manipulate it with your fingers and bend the flower or the butterfly a little bit, and they bend very pretty. So if you wanted your butterfly to kind of be up, you could do that as well. I used almost half the sheet, not totally. You could use more if you wanted. I think they are absolutely gorgeous. These are still currently available. They were back ordered for a little while, but they're now back in stock. So if you want to grab some for future projects, I would highly recommend doing that sooner versus later. Okay, so now the next thing that we do, we have our butterflies, is we're going to go ahead and add our sequins. So I'm going to put them in the little top because that's what I like to do with mine. And I'm going to cherry pick the ones that I want. I like the iridescent for this one. The ones that are more pinky, I thought were really pretty, and I put those more up here. So I'm going to put 2 up there. You can determine your size. I have a harder time picking up the smaller ones with my fingers, so I tend to use my piercing tool or my scissors for those. And then down here I did the more kind of, it's more of a matte finish. It's not the really, really bright one. So you can choose. I have 3 down at the bottom. And you can do more if you want. You can take your flourish all the way from the top, all the way to the bottom if you so desire. Sometimes it's kind of tricky finding the one that you want. You can also adhere these with a glue if you prefer glue. I like the glue dots, especially when I'm doing videos, simply because they dry, or they're not even wet. They are ready right away, and I don't have to worry with my sequins moving around, but up to you how you want to proceed with that. Okay, so those are the sequins that we're gonna add. Next, we're gonna come across and we're gonna do a little bit of manipulation of the actual stickers. And so the stickers that we are using are gonna be these up here, okay? They're meant to be pennants, and we're actually gonna cut those. We're gonna pull those off, and you'll notice that there is 1, 2, and 3, and then on the other side, there's one more. So you need to make sure that there's 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, sorry, 4 on one side and 1 on the other. So we are just going to cut. I'm gonna slide this over. Kind of you wanna make sure that it goes all the way across the edge, and then we're gonna cut it from okay, so we're gonna take the second one. We're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna cut across that corner, however as tight as you want. We're gonna flip it. And I'm saving the excess over here on my Versa mat. Just like that. Okay. So now we have the 2 corners, and we still have to do the other 2 pieces. So we're actually gonna get those from different stickers. So what we're gonna do, because they're not quite, if you notice, not quite as long, okay? So we're gonna come and do one of the steps for our next piece, our next side, to get those stickers. And we are gonna use this circle, and this circle, okay? And so I'm gonna go ahead and take the pinkish one off and pop it up on foam tape so that we can make it work. I'm gonna put 2 pieces on. Oops, my circle wants to fly away. And you can choose whatever words that you want. I chose love, create, and dream. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to just cut this free-handed. You could use your trimmer if you want. If you're going to use your trimmer, I would cut out the circle from the sticker sheet or the hexagon and then cut it that way with the sticker sheet behind it and then pull it. Okay, so I'm going to take the word love and I want that to go all the way across, just like that. And this one I didn't cut super even. So I'm going to come back and cut that at a pennant like that one. And let's see. I think I want them to match more than not match. That's up to you. I'm just going to trim it that way a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to stick the sticker back over the word love. And I still think that's a little bit too sharp. So we're going to trim that down so it's not such a sharp angle. There we go. Okay, so that's one of our pieces. We're going to go ahead and set that one aside. So then we're going to come and I want to do the blue with create. So I'm going to go ahead and put the foam on the back of my circle. Just like that. And then I want the word create. So this time I'm going to be a little bit more cautious of where my points are so that I don't have to balance those out. Again, I'm just using my Versa mat on the side to hold those spaces or hold those extra pieces. There's my word create. Okay, and then we're using this, whoops, this maroon one or mulberry. I don't know if it's maroon or if it's more burgundy.
Don't worry about it.
And Siri says, don't worry about it. So that's good to know. Okay, there's that one. And for this one, I want to use the word dream. So again, I'm going to cut it. I'm going to put this across and set it up at the top. Just like that. Okay, so now we're going to come back and we have all these little pieces, right? And so they're perfect for going over just like this. Now, you're going to put your photo down first. So if you don't want to put these pieces down, you don't have to. You can put them on a piece of wax paper and just slide them in your layout with the Post-it note. Actually, I put this on the wrong one, sorry. You can do it however you want. Mine are just lightly down for now, but again, you can do it however you want. Typically, if it were me, I would put it on a piece of wax paper and put a Post-it note and just say this is to go here once I put my photographs on, because they're not gonna come up super easy without that. Okay, so then the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna take the liquid pearls and the rose gold and we're gonna accent the layout. And so I did 3 dots, small dots, around the curvature of the C. I did 1 to kind of be like a period at the end over there. And then I did some to pull that flourish together around my butterflies. So nothing major, just, you know, a couple of dots here and there. If you're super creative, you could do a total flutter pattern, but I'm not that artistic. So I wouldn't have a steady enough hand to create like the butterflies, swirlies type of thing. Okay, so that is all that we have for this side of the layout. You would come back and you would add your photographs and so forth. So we're gonna move this aside and let it dry. And we're gonna switch over and do the other page, which is following the same, many of the same formats. Except now we have a few of those elements already done for us. Okay, so we are gonna do the big pieces, the big piece first. This one over here is a double mat. And so this mat here, I did flat. So we're just gonna go ahead and put adhesive on the back of that. And it is about at 2 inches and about 1 or so over. I eyeball it. I know it drives everyone crazy, but when I design them, I tend to eyeball them. Okay, so then the mulberry cardstock is gonna go on top, and that is popped up on foam. And that it creates a different illusion when all together, because these guys, the mats are popped, well, the mats are popped up, all of them, where this one's a double mat. But as an end result, everything is the same height, which is great. Okay, so we have our foam tape. We're gonna go ahead and pull the film off. Again, you wouldn't have to do all the film if you didn't want to do all the film, but I like to. And this is just gonna get centered within that piece. And then your photo would go on top. So I actually mixed these up, that's okay, from my original. I switched 2 of the words, so that's okay, no worries. We're gonna do the mulberry sticker here, and I have dream. On my original one, I had love, okay? And then we're gonna go to the blue, which is this one. And we're gonna pop that up on foam just like we did before. Again, this is the Bluebell. It is retiring soon. Each year, I think our color of the years get better and better. I was in love with Sea Glass. That was my favorite for a long time. And then there was a Bashful. And now we have this one, and I think this one I like the best out of all of them. I really like, out of this entire paper collection has about 7 colors, and they're all very, very pretty together intermixed, but this is my favorite combination within this pack of the colors. I like the mulberry, the ballerina, and the bluebell together. I think they are very, very elegant. The bluebell is kind of, if you've not seen it before, it reminds me of a periwinkle. Not quite, but about as close to periwinkle as we've ever had that I'm aware of. And I really like periwinkle. Okay, so the next one is gonna be the pink. Now, the pink, I chose to use the light side. I just think it's really elegant. So the other colors in this collection, there is the peach, there's the sapphire, and there's mint, I believe. So there's a wealth of opportunities to create, but like I said, this combination of these 3 just really knocked my socks off. You could add the sapphire in too. I like the sapphire with that one as well. Okay, so this one is right above, however, it's off to the side more. This side, because once you add those little strips, they're even. And I don't think I got that, oops, even. So we're gonna try to fix it. If we can. It might not come up, but maybe we're lucky. Yep. So one of the cool things about the foam tape is you do have a little wiggle room if you haven't pressed it down totally. So I tend to not press my projects down until I'm sure that they are in straight alignment. Okay. And that little edge will flatten out. Okay, so now we have these 2 pieces. We're gonna go ahead and add our other circles. Now the one at the top is tucked in a little bit. So I just simply came underneath and used the line of the sticker to line that up. The create at the bottom, or the sapphire one, is going to kind of cover both the corner of this and a little bit into this one. So that one's gonna go like that. And then we're gonna come back with our beautiful butterflies. And we're gonna do 2 at the top. Kind of fluttering different ways. It's 3 in the middle. And actually you can get away with 2 if you want. And then I actually did 5 at the bottom, which you will not have that many unless you go into a second sheet. So you can do 3. If you have additional ones at home, you can add more, but I wanted to show it both ways. Okay, so that used the entire sheet. Now the other butterflies are a different coloring. So you could mix those if you wanted to come all the way down, most certainly. I tend to go overboard with some things. And we're gonna come back and add sequins. So down here I have 3. Again, kind of steering in those same colors. But any color that you pull is truly gonna be okay because they all coordinate beautifully together. If I can pick them up with my fingers, I like using the different sizes. I think that those look really nice. I'm only gonna do 1 in the center because that space is so incredibly small. but you could do more if you wanted. I'm going to do that one here. Again, I kind of want a cascading flourish element going on. That's what I am going for. My dog just sighed. I guess she thinks I'm boring. It's truly the fact that I'm keeping her up from her morning nap, right? Okay, so we have 1, 2, and then we want one more there. And that's gonna just kind of come underneath that butterfly. Okay, so then the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna use those stickles again, and we're just gonna come and add little dots around the butterflies. Now these are gonna take a little while to dry. So before putting it in the page protector, I would probably let it sit overnight. It doesn't need that long to dry, but putting it in the page protector, of course, is gonna flatten it. So I usually give it a little bit more time before putting it in a page protector. Okay, and that is it for this layout. So I hope you were able to follow along. If you have any questions, you can email me at inallsassiness@gmail.com. Otherwise, have a great day and make it sassy.